Hey you, yeah you. I know you clicked on this video because of the thumbnail. I know we all had a school crush that completely ignored us. But today it's different. Today I will tell you about a boy that relived his youth to make his school crush fall in love with him. So put your banana back into your pants and let's begin.
Tsutomu Chono, a 21-year-old young man, reveals that he isn't a fan of how people believe that sleeping is a good thing. If anything, sleep doesn't grant real-life skills to anyone. A long-haired girl drops her handkerchief, and instead of approaching her to give it, Chono gives it to a police officer so that he can hand it over. Chono miscalculated his sleeping schedule and concluded that the reason he is bad at studies compared to others is that he sleeps more often, thus making him unable to give his life the same amount of time as others. He has failed his university entrance exam multiple times and has no one close in his life. With no options left, Chono decided to settle with a third-choice school. While he is at work, his senior, Yamaki, who is actually younger than him, approaches him as she is having trouble sorting out a manga. She is the only Chono who feels closer. Dude, you just said you don't have anyone and now this. Make up your mind, bruh. She is amazed that he knows so much about them and wants to talk about them at the dinner. Later, after they are finished enjoying the night, she wants to spend the night together with him, but Chono doesn't catch up with her feelings and tells her that he can call a taxi for her. Way to fumble an opportunity, lad. The following day, his boss tells him that Yamaki has asked for a shift change and he realizes that the other hates him now. Later that night, he reads a manga about teenagers falling in love with each other and afterward he has a lucid dream. He feels like he can do anything, but still helps his classmate, Asakura, get on the bus. The two get into a weird situation where he gets knocked out, but the misunderstanding is quickly cleared up. Afterward, she reveals that she is from a judo family, and since most of the boys fear her, it's really hard to interact with them. Chono realizes that she is wearing a disguise and she removes it to change her life. Chono wakes up just when he feels comfortable and feels that the manga influenced his dream. He decides to check it out once more and wakes up during a class. A blonde girl approaches him, and after a bit of thinking, he recognizes her as Asakura. She is grateful that he showed her a different life and she resolves to change herself. Later, she wants his help with something, and just then, their seniors misbehave during a sports game. She wants to teach them a lesson, but Chono stops her and takes her away from there. The seniors follow them, and instead of running away, Chono hurts himself to repel them. However, Asakura isn't done yet, and she gives them proper scars that will remind them of various stages of their life. Just as he sleeps on her thighs, he wakes up. On the other hand, Asakura also wakes up from a dream and wonders why she has seen Chono, as the two never interacted much with each other. Asakura works at a maid cafe, and the only thing she looks forward to is the dreams where she is living a completely different life than she had experienced till now. The students are to change their seats, and she hopes she hits the jackpot and gets the spot next to Chono, whom she really adores. Fortunately, she hits the lottery and the two are seated right next to each other. She thinks of various ways to tease him by touching him and showing him her undies. Afterward, he asks her to visit a place with her and she immediately complies, but she tells him that she will get back as she even finds it a teensy bit boring. Like a psychic, he is assured that she will enjoy her time and he takes her to a movie, something she loves. He has booked a bed seat for the two, but he proves too much of a whip as he doesn't even lie close to her. The whole time, instead of focusing on the movie, his sights are set on her, and that gives her an opportunity to tease him more. The two head out to eat a buffet afterward where she gets to share more moments with him. The two are too loud with each other, and the maid has to instruct them to behave. While they are returning, the two pass by a park where she asks whether he will be attending college. Chono doesn't believe that it is going to happen as this is just a dream, and tells her that he will probably work at the nearby bookstore. He asks her as well, and she doesn't have any hope either. Just then, the two realize something, however, it is too late to reveal to each other as they wake up. Both of them regret not hearing each other in the morning. Asakura recalls his words. She goes out to check up on the bookstore, and just as she enters, the first thing she hears is Chono's greeting. The two are amazed at seeing each other in real life. Chono is embarrassed that a classmate visited the shop and thinks of a solution to sort out the situation. He feels he should ignore her for now until she notices, but all the time, he can feel her gaze. Just when he greets her, the others turn over her stares, making him feel dumb. After she buys a book, he suggests her a manga nervously, and she leaves in embarrassment. They both recognize each other, but due to uncertainty, they fail to properly greet each other. The two once again go to sleep and wake up in their classroom to gain more life experience. He wants to exchange their numbers, and he spots various tasks on her phone, though she quickly hides them. As the two are bored in school, she invites him to her home, and he takes up on the offer. Just as they are entering her house, she instructs him to be careful and avoid her mother as she doesn't stop when things get going. Unfortunately for them, the two are caught sneaking into the room and her mother wants to know everything. to solve things as fast as possible. Asakura lies that he is her plaything, and her mother blushes that her daughter has grown into such a bad girl. After she leaves, the two can finally enjoy their time in her room, and she immediately instructs him to get going. Shono is confused as he thought they were here to study, but the other is irritated that he couldn't even read the room. His movement is way too slow compared to hers. It's game time, buddy, it going fast. She criticizes his skills, but hey, at least it's good to play games with your buddies. Asakura slowly leans toward him, and just as she falls into his arms, she falls asleep. Chono cannot take his eyes off her defenseless body and tries to calm himself down by observing his surroundings. After seeing her trophies, he is even more impressed with her abilities, and just then she wakes up. She excuses that her alarm went off at the wrong time, and the two are already in a state that would be considered awkward by a third person. Speaking of a third person, her mom suddenly barges into the room and immediately closes the door after seeing the two practicing the combos of their life. She wants to know whether Chono did something shameful while she was sleeping, but he assures her that he didn't even touch her. Suddenly, she starts getting on top of him, and Chono remembers that her plan is to kiss him next. She's about to go for his lips when he wakes up in the real world through his alarm. Suddenly, he remembers Asakura telling him about the alarm in his dreams, and he feels that she is having a dream as well. After going to sleep and waking up in the dream, she is incredibly close to her, and even as she makes excuses, she is caught red-handed. To confirm his suspicions, he plays with her and sets a penalty for the loser. Asakura feels that Chono has lustful intentions, but she doesn't feel about it as this is a dream anyway. However, she gets carried away by these thoughts and loses the game. As for the penalty, Chono wants to know whether she is in the middle of a dream as well, taking her aback. Just as he asks her a question, she is astonished and tries to evade his question by making an excuse and telling him that his time is up. He realizes that she doesn't want him entering her house anymore and leaves. The following day, he waits for her in the class, but she doesn't show up. Worried, Chono decides to visit her to check up on her, but her mom informs him that she can't meet him right now as she is sleeping. Asakura isn't sleeping at all, rather she just wants to avoid him now that her secret is out. She doesn't feel she can face him with all the teasing she has done. Even though she isn't answering, Chono decides to continue checking up on her until she is feeling well. In the real world, he wakes up to an invitation to a school reunion, and after a thorough contemplation, he hopes that she will be there and decides to attend it. As he reaches the destination, his classmates don't recognize him and he turns back. He doesn't even greet them and suddenly runs into Asakura on his way back. She was also hoping to meet him there, and now that the two have met, she wants to know how he got her phone number. You gave it to him in the dream, duh. As they have things to discuss, she takes him to a nearby park where Chono regrets that he even tried to attend the event as they don't remember him anyway, and not like he ever shared a bond with them. Hopeless as life may be, he believes that if he were given a chance, he could change his life back, and that is why he is trying his best to continue his dreams, although he doesn't feel too optimistic about them. Asakura motivates him that he managed to help her change her life and proposes that this time, the two spend their life in a way that no regrets manage to enter their minds. Asakura figures out that she can't dream about Chono unless she keeps the manga close to her. She has to go to work and she quickly gets changed. Even after arriving just on time, she gets an earful from her boss, but she tries to ignore him. Suddenly, she spots a creep taking pictures of another maid and she confronts him. The other denies being involved in any sort of immoral act and tells her that she's just falsely accusing him. He decides to leave and pushes her colleague away. Asakura is done holding herself back and smashes him to the ground. Seeing as everyone is cheering for her, her boss can only think of how it will generate more profit for them, and Asakura quits. She doesn't feel like putting up with his attitude, and thanks to Chono's motivation, she finally feels like moving on. Later, she tells her colleague to do the same in case the boss continues to harass her. At night, she remembers that her classmates are having a reunion, and that's how she met up with Chono on her way. At the park, she tells him that he is the main factor in how her life has changed recently, and he can only see this from a pessimistic perspective. Since they don't have meaningful ambitions right now, the two promise each other to relive their youth to the fullest and find meaning in their life. The two head off to sleep, but not without a revelation that there are more people who time to sleep. In their class, the teacher inquires about a student, but she's out bunking class like usual. During the break, Asakura feels bored and Chono suggests that she should mingle with the popular groups. However, she is too tired of that sort of thing and decides not to intervene. Suddenly, the two spot Saki, another classmate of theirs, and ask her to have lunch with them. She is too nervous to communicate clearly and leaves. Asakura wants to monitor her closely, and the two realize that she doesn't want to eat in the classroom. Later, Asakura is instructed to clean the room, and she tells Chono to follow Saki. After following her for a while, he ends up at the counselor's office where she is eating snacks like usual. Shono realizes that she just came here to skip the classes and she doesn't even feel shy or nervous here. She tells him to enjoy himself and informs him that the counselor won't be here anytime soon, so he should leave. Shono isn't here for the counselor's advice and she is playing the counselor. He intentionally takes the bait and asks what he should do in case a person refuses to let him near her. The other advises her that he should bring over some delicious snacks to the person, and he is tricked into buying her stuff. He realizes that she is just an ordinary girl like every other and he is worried for nothing. Shono asks whether he can check up on her once in a while, and the other has an excuse ready for it. Shono is still surprised that Saki turned out to be a pretty cheerful girl compared to what he had imagined, but he promises himself to keep her secret safe. Asakura approaches him and asks about his meeting with Saki, but as he get promised, he doesn't reveal anything to her. In the changing room, Asakura comes across Saki, but just as she tries opening up a conversation, the other nervously runs away. During the PE class, their teacher instructs them to partner with another student. And nothing could be worse for Saki than this. She is too nervous to ask anyone, but luckily, Asakura is interested anyway, and the two team up. While they are exercising, Asakura realizes how stiff her body is from not doing anything practically and helps her. She is too exhausted and decides to rest a bit. Suddenly, Shono spots her and he checks up on her. He is glad that she decided to attend the class, and the other tells him that she was just out to check whether he is gossiping about her. In any case, the other feels that she will continue attending the class and wants to take her to the nurse's office where she can get a proper rest. There is only one comfort place for her, and she only wants her room. In a shocking turn of events, Shono accidentally implies that she has dropped out of the school, and she instantly catches a whiff of suspicion. Saki wakes up in real life and ponders the weird dream she had. She's a shut-in gamer, and as she has run out of food, she decides to go out to buy something. She isn't fond of approaching people and starting conversations, so she avoids everyone. After she returns, she finds the manga in her mail, even though she doesn't remember ordering it. After a bit of contemplation, she concludes that the manga caused her to dream about her high school and go to sleep once more. She is surprised to find herself in the school again, and now that she is in a lucid dream, she feels like she can do anything. She secretly throws everyone in panic and later releases the animals, changes the computer's wallpapers to inappropriate pictures and other various stuff. Saki feels like a reincarnate of the devil as she takes her revenge on the very school that made her life miserable. Shono realizes who is behind all of this and heads to the rooftop to confront Saki. Despite her obvious intentions, Saki doesn't seem to admit that it was all her doing and tries to make various excuses. However, Shono has seen through it all, and she feels that it won't be a problem if she tells him about her real life and time to sleep. As she is in trypophobia for a long time, she has always been afraid of seeing groups, and the mere sight of them disgusted them, be it ants or humans. Honestly, I don't know how the two things correlate, but whatever makes her feel good. She feels that the responsibilities are too much for her to handle, and the hurdle will just crush her down. To make herself feel alive in this dream, she wants to throw chaos upon everyone. Shono feels that she is taking her revenge on the wrong crowd, but she gets defensive about her stance and tells him he doesn't understand anything as he is just a mindless NPC. Before Shono can ask her more questions, someone arrives at the rooftop and the two have to hide. It is none other than their teacher, and she has realized that someone is up there. Shono goes out in Saki's place and takes the blame himself. After the teacher leaves, Saki comes out and Shono wants to have a proper conversation with her. Saki doesn't get why she worked up over some NPC, and as it is a dream, she decides to fall off the roof to wake herself up. Shono's instinct tells him that it is dangerous as they don't even know what happens in real life in case the person dies in this dream. Shono stops her just in time, and the other isn't happy about it. He's too busy talking with her and loses his group. The two fall down the roof together. He feels like this is the end of his dream life, but is astonished to find that they are both unharmed. Saki criticizes the useless NPC, and he finally tells her that he is just the same as her. She believes that he is lying like every other person in this dream, and there is no convincing her. Since she doesn't believe him in the slightest, he decides to tell her about his workplace, and she is free to visit him. Saki wakes up from the dream and criticizes her own rationale to have fallen for a fragment of her imagination, and the blame is all upon the new manga. Since she doesn't have any use for it, she takes it to the bookstore to make some money off it and see whether Shono really works there. She is amazed that he looks much like his younger self except his hair, but is too nervous to confront him. Shono spots her, but before he can check up on her, she runs away. She can't just talk to him all of a sudden just cause the two share a dream. The following day, they all wake up in the dream again, and Shono doesn't spot Saki, so he gets worried. His teacher asks him to see her in the staff room, where she informs him that Saki told her that she herself was to blame. Moreover, she is impressed with her student, and as Saki is going through a rough patch, she expects him to support her. Chono doesn't think she is the type of person to admit her mistake and decides to check up on her. He is taken aback upon finding her doing homework, and she tells him that she would be happy if he checked up on her once in a while. Asakura also enters the room, and she informs her that the three of them are time sleepers, but there might be more of them. They decide to enjoy their life and head out to a karaoke. As they don't have any experience with it, they book a VIP room to enjoy their time and are surprised to find a bed in the room. The scent wafting through the room makes them realize that perhaps they have picked the wrong room, but whatever could be done now. If anything, Asakura gets another opportunity to tease Chono, and he has to lecture her on how to act. Saki has no experience in singing, so she decides to pass, while Chono doesn't seem interested either. Since this was Asakura's idea, she decides to sing herself, but she faces embarrassment as she is completely tone-deaf. She doesn't want to lose to karaoke and goes all in. Saki has found something interesting on the menu and they decide to eat. The food is better than expected and they feel going to karaoke was worth everything. Saki connects her console to the karaoke screen and they decide to enjoy gaming. After they are done, the payment is considerably high, all thanks to the food. Asakura has enjoyed karaoke the most and this is the first time she was out with friends. Saki also had a good time, but when she doesn't refer to them as friends, she gets an earful from Asakura. Hearing someone acknowledge her as their friend for the first time, she starts weeping as Asakura has to console her. Since they have spent most of their monthly allowance in a single day, they think of a way to make some money, but Asakura doesn't feel working in a dream is a good idea. Saki has an idea, and without even hearing it, Chono criticizes it as he feels she is up to something wrong. Since their dream is the exact replica of the past, she suggests that they check out the past lottery winners and choose the winning numbers. Chono fears that it will end up in a dangerous way, but hey, a try is worth it at least. They memorize the past winning numbers, and upon trying them, they realize that the winning numbers don't actually match. Saki tells them it's because of the butterfly effect, as even a slight change in behavior can affect the outcome, and with no choice left, they decide to change their life without having to depend on money, but Chono is pretty happy about it. As their exam is upon them, Chono decides to head off to study. Chono is amazed that studying could do wonders as he gazes at his score that sees him topping his class. His classmate approaches him to see his hands and leaves without introducing herself. Later, he visits the counselor room with Saki, where she shows interest in studying. Tears of joy come streaming down Chono's eyes as he hears her words and assures her that he will be more than happy. He is excited about it and wants to start now, but the other has left her textbook at her home, and the two decide to meet up the following day. It's their day off and Saki is having a hard time choosing casual clothes for their meetup, though she eventually settles for one even though she doesn't feel like it's the right choice. She reached the location a bit early, but waiting for the others just excited her more. Chono is amazed at how pretty she looks as he arrives at the destination. What exactly is the driving force behind their dreams? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. For more content, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel.